Hello and welcome back to another edition of the GSMC College Football Podcast presented to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Today is Tuesday, May 27th. Hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. Got a good show for you today. It's kind of a lull in college football, as pretty much everybody knows if you're a college football fan, but we're going to have some fun with it. Want to talk first about EA College Football 26, the cover stars just got announced. Going to dive into who exactly is that, who will we be seeing on our consoles very soon in the future. Also going to dive into Greg Sankey. Kind of went off in his opening press conference during SEC's spring meetings this week. We're going to dive into what exactly he said yesterday. We're also going to talk a little bit about the ACC. Go over some strengths of schedules, some programs that have really manageable schedules, others that, not so much. And then make sure you stick around for the end of the show. We're going to continue on with my Big Ten power rankings, kind of that upper to middle tier of the conference today. So we're going to dive into that. But before we get into anything, I want to remind everybody, this show is all about you. We love hearing your comments, your questions, your insights, your opinions, your hot takes. Whatever you got, we want to hear it. We want to make this show as interactive, as exciting as possible. Now, one easy way to do that, if you're on YouTube, you can use the Super Chat feature. All you have to do to use the Super Chat feature is click the $ at the bottom of the chat box, type in your message there, send that in, and this guarantees that your message gets on the air, gets read live. It's also just a great way to support our channel, support what we're trying to build here at GSMC. We couldn't do what we do without your ongoing support, and we're so grateful to have you here as a part of our community at the GSMC Podcast Network. Now, if YouTube's not your thing, Super Chat's not your thing, you can also go to gsmcspodcast.net to tip, donate, comment, question, whatever you want there. Again, that website is gsmcpodcast.net. Now, let's dive into one of my favorite things, video games. Gotta love the world of video games. And with EA returning its series last year of college football video games with College Football 2025 and allowing current players to be in the games, giving them compensation for their name, their image, their likeness. This has been something that we were kind of waiting to see. Who was going to be on the cover of 2026? And we got our answer in Alabama's Ryan Williams and Ohio State's Jeremiah Smith. Kind of a safe pick, I think, with EA, going with two kids who completely blew up the college football industry when they came in last year as true freshman wide receivers. Ryan Williams really with that big September kind of showcase, especially against Georgia in that game, had 6 catches, 177 yards, including that 75-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter to go ahead and give the Crimson Tide that lead there against Georgia. Jeremiah Smith, not to be outdone, 1,300 yards in his debut season in the college football world, en route to becoming Ohio State's number 1 wide receiver, becoming the go-to guy for Will Howard on their way to the national championship in 2024. It makes a lot of sense, right? I think to have these two guys, two of the absolute bona fide stars of college football. And actually, they almost teamed up in college. When they were both being recruited as 5-star wide receivers, they did cross paths at one point. In a recruiting event in Georgia, they were both there. And Ryan Williams kind of said he broached the idea of the two of them teaming up, saying, hey, I tried to get him. I was like, come on, let's go team up. Let's go somewhere. Let's tear up the college football world. He was like, And we kind of thought about it. Jeremiah Smith, too, he said it would have been crazy. I don't know how you stopped that. And Ryan Williams kind of replied by saying, you can't. He's not wrong. If those two dudes were on the same college football team, that's one of the best passing attacks in the nation, easily. Just having one of those difference maker wide receivers in your room makes such a big difference when you're looking at your offensive output, when you're looking at kind of the stuff that you can do on the gridiron. Having at least one of those kind of go-to wide receivers is such a big bonus, and then you add 2 potentially into the same room. That's kind of a crazy concept to think about. If Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams actually did team up, what would that wide receiver room, what would that offense look like at either Alabama or Ohio State? But these are going to be your 2 guys on kind of the regular cover. The deluxe cover is a little different. This kind of got leaked to around the Rose Bowl, but there's about 20 guys, honestly. You have current players, Nick Singleton, Jeremiah Love, true freshman quarterback from Michigan, Bryce Underwood, which I kind of thought was an interesting one. Could that be foreshadowing for maybe college football 2028? I don't know. We could see. And then DJ Lagway's on it as well. You also have Caleb Downs, Sam Levitt, Cade Klubnik, a lot of quarterbacks, Garrett Nussmeier, Dylan Stewart from South Carolina. Then you got some coaches too. James Franklin, Kirby Smart, Marcus Freeman, Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning, Kenny Dillingham, Ryan Day. And then you had the 3 kind of legends in Reggie Bush, Denard Shoelaces Robinson, and Tim Tebow, all on the cover as well, former cover athletes of past editions of the college football video game produced by EA Sports. We don't know what the game's finally going to look like. We don't know the final kind of reveals. Both Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams should guaranteed to be at least a 95, right? Jeremiah Smith, that was a guy that started at an 84, finished the year as a 90. I would be very shocked if he wasn't a 95 plus in this year's game. Ryan Williams, kind of the same trajectory, started out as an 82, finished as a 90. Ryan Williams, too. This is a guy you're going to want to play with if you're looking at potential dynamic offenses. Ryan Williams, 96 speed, 99 agility, 98 acceleration. I know, I'm kind of getting into the dorky stats of the video game world of college football, of football in general, but I don't know. It's kind of one of the things I like about football, about sports. I like video games, so it's kind of a fun one. Ryan Williams, though, that 96 speed, 99 acceleration, or 98 acceleration, 99 agility. Ooh, that's going to be a tough guy to stop in this video game. 2 guys, too, that kind of formed an interesting friendship. They don't play against each other normally. They don't really play in the same conference. They've seen each other's highlights, though. The comparisons that other people kind of make about the 2 of them, obviously having that dynamic 5-star freshman year where you come in and produce right away, that's something we don't really see a lot. And their experiences kind of mirror each other a little bit, I think. And they'll text each other after big games. I think that's kind of cool. Smith texted Ryan Williams after he had his game-winning touchdown against Georgia in September. Williams' favorite catch by Jeremiah Smith this year was his one-handed touchdown against Iowa. So these guys will text each other back and forth, too, and be like, hey, I saw that this week. Maybe I can do better. I'm sure there's a little back and forth, I would imagine, right? Kind of, again, in the unique position of already being among the best players in the country, despite being 18, 19 years old. Ryan Williams, for a good chunk of his freshman year, was 17 years old. Kid wasn't even legal as an adult, technically, but tearing up SEC defenses as one of the best guys in the country to do it, it's pretty impressive. Dane Brugler, too, from The Athletic, he said in December that if Jeremiah Smith had been draft eligible this year, he could have very likely competed with Travis Hunter to be the first non-quarterback drafted. Travis Hunter obviously ended up being drafted 2nd overall. That's pretty high praise for Jeremiah Smith. One thing to maybe look at here down the road is, do either of these 2 guys end up sitting out a college football season? I don't know. I think there's too much money to be lost out on at this point, but it's happened before. Steve Spurrier said that Jadeveon Clowney, there were people around him that advised him to sit out in 2013. Obviously, he still did play and still ended up going number 1 overall. But 12 years later, there's a lot of time there. Jeremiah Smith, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase sat out during 2020. Obviously, that's a different kind of situation with the COVID-19 pandemic, but still something to kind of monitor as a potential situation. Nick Bosa got hurt in September of his draft-eligible year, ended up sitting out the rest of the year, just got healthy, ended up being the second, third overall pick. These guys got asked about that too, and they're like, is there any chance you kind of sit out because you still have 2 years before you're even draft eligible? Jeremiah Smith's like, nah, I'm enjoying college. I'm not in any rush to go to the NFL, which, I mean, fair enough, dude. If you're the number one wide receiver on a national championship winning football team, especially at a place like Ohio State, I'm sure you're having a great time at college. One other kind of thing to look at, is there going to start being almost like a Madden curse where, we see that every year? That's kind of one of the big conspiracies, I guess, that if you're on the cover of Madden, it's just going to tank your career. I think that's kind of gone down by the wayside a little bit, just since we've seen like Pat Mahomes be on the cover and still be fine, Lamar Jackson still be fine. College football, Travis Hunter was on the cover last year. He went from being on the cover to winning the Heisman. Not bad. Are one of these two guys maybe going to follow that same trajectory? It's very possible. I mean, it's really hard to top a freshman season kind of like either of them had, but I think if anybody has the talent or the potential to do it, it's probably Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams. Honestly, either of them. I think Jeremiah Smith's a little more impressive of a prospect right now, just because he did a little more last year. 1,300 yards, kind of becoming that number one option pretty much right away for Ohio State on a team that still had Emeka Egbuka, Carnell Tate, Brandon Inniss, a lot of guys around Jeremiah Smith that are legitimate targets too. But he kind of surpassed all of them, kind of just took the reins of that number one wide receiver position and ran with it. That's a guy that he's very much a Heisman contender in the next couple years. Could we see another wide receiver win the Heisman for the first time since Devontae Smith did it at Alabama? I think it's very possible in the next couple of years with guys like Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, still in college football, still going to be stars. We're going to have to watch and see what they do in 2025, but I'm expecting great things from both of those guys. So right now, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the SEC, their conference meetings starting this week, and what Commissioner Greg Sankey said. But we're going to dive into all of that when we come back on the GSMC College Football Podcast.